Holy shit, do we have a show for y'all today. We have a one-man studio, a producer, a songwriter, a bona fide tone god, a guitar tone god. He's the great, the powerful Keith Nelson. Played in a band called Buck Cherry. He grew up super religious. He went to Jesus camp. And god damn it, he's one of the fucking coolest humans I've ever met. Without further ado, Keith Nelson.
I'm gonna get high on caffeine, more caffeine.
Yeah,
That's a great idea.
I believe I will join you. Leif, you get to the get high part.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna.
You guys,
yeah.
look, whoa, look at that sword.
Gandalf.
Unsheathed.
That's a fucking. What's up, dudes?
What's
Keith
up?
Nelson, how are you?
You know, I'm all right, man. I'm
Yeah,
all right.
you made it through the end of the world 3.0.
Don't get me started, bro.
Oh shit!
You know, I live in Los Angeles,
Yeah,
and wait, Leif, you're here too, right?
Yeah, I'm in Santa Monica.
Yeah, that's not really Los Angeles.
Not
That's
really.
like LA Light.
Yeah.
Man, I love this city. I really do.
Yeah.
I've been here for 30 years. I'm not from here, but this is my adopted, this is where I live. I got roots here, family here. I ain't budging probably for a while. And watching what's gone on in the last couple of years, it's just heartbreaking to me.
yeah.
But I mean, you know, the good with the bad. There's so many amazing things about being here, but like, yeah.
The whole everything we did just kind of stopped, shut down.
My good friend Charlie Starr from Blackberry Smoke was in town doing a gig, and he was staying here for about a week. And he was staying at a hotel right in Hollywood, and he's going for a jog every morning. And I said, "Where are you going for a jog at, bro?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm just going down like Sunset Boulevard." And I go, "You sure you want to do that?" And he's like, "Yeah, man." So he goes, and then I talk to him after, and I go, "How was that?" And he goes, "Man, I jumped over more human poop." I'm like, "Yeah, the sidewalks are covered in human fecal matter."
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I take my son for a hike, and I go like, "What? Dodge the poop, dude. We're dodging poop."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Venice is crazy too. Like
I haven't even been.
Oh man, it's just, you know, I mean, it's everywhere. Seattle's kind of the same way too. Before I moved down here, I was installing security cameras in these alleyways, and there'd just be like a sea of needles, you know. Behind the Paramount Theater up there. And so, you know, it seems to be like maybe the sins of our father catching up with us. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Great segue.
That's our guy right there.
You know, the studio that I am fortunate enough to be residing in, we have a homeless guy that camps on the sidewalk right across the street on the side street. And he's very aggressive, and he's very in need of, you know, some mental health resources, and he's just in need. And it's really sad because I've tried to, I mean, everyone that's in this building has like, "Hey, you want some food? You want some shoes?" And he's like, "Fuck you, get the fuck away from me." I'm like, "Whoa, dude. All right, cool." And he's just really belligerent and clearly mentally ill. And it's like, well, you know, it's sad. Sad. Hey, Leif, where's your boy Jesus at with all this homelessness? Where's he at?
Let me give this. That's another great segue.
It's so funny that I got an email to my inbox this morning that said, "Proof that Jesus smoked weed." Can I read it to you? Can I just read what it said? It's just so random, some junk mail. And I was like, someone's clearly listening to my conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
Where is it? I may have deleted it already. I can't fucking handle this shit. Hold on. I think I deleted it already. That's how much I cared about it.
Well,
sorry.
Once you know the answer, you don't really need the email.
So what's the word? Did he?
with smoke weed.
Oh,
Well, man, there's this really great book. If you haven't heard of it, it's called The Immortality Key. It came out, I think, a year or two ago. And it definitely pulls a lot of really great, what they call facts, together to maybe Jesus was actually trying to introduce a psychedelic wine ritual with the Eucharist. A lot of early churches believe this. So,
I mean, based on the footwear choice alone.
Right, right, and the garments and the hairdo.
Yeah,
Right, dude.
yeah,
The
yeah.
original
airflow.
dirt head. You know,
What's going on underneath the robe, bro?
nothing.
Well,
Zero.
and two, like everyone that was there with him in that room, like was willing to put up with some fucking shit to keep talking about him and believing in him. So they had really transformative experiences in there, like the apostles. And so it's like, yeah, I think he was getting people to trip balls. I mean, it's pretty controversial, but
I spoke to Jeff a little bit about this off camera, obviously, but this is going to be more like I'm interviewing you guys because I'm fascinated by your podcast, and I really want to know how did we get here? How did we get here?
It's pretty fun. You want to take it, Reddy?
Yeah. So Leif and I met when he was 19, 18. Well, no, the first time at the record store. What was that?
Rocket Records in Maple Valley, Washington. I was 18.
18.
Mm-hmm.
And then fast forward a few years, he starts playing in band. Leif was raised Christian fundamentalist, isolated out in the middle of nowhere, homeschooled, Maple Valley, and look it up. It's like there's nothing out there.
Yeah.
There's a little bit out there now, but 20 years ago, 30 years ago, there wasn't. It was just fucking woods.
Yeah.
And that's who I met playing guitar in his first band. They were a Christian band, and then I get kind of hazy on the time lapses in between, but at some point he starts playing in rock bands, and pretty soon after we met, he told me that how he was raised, and I'm like, okay, well, you and I are going to talk. If you know the Bible, what does it say about raping little kids? What does it say about, what does it say about the Anunnaki? What does it say about the Nephilim? What does it say about all this stuff? And we would just be in our little corner of the green room, just, just for hours.
Right.
And then we would just, that turned into sort of a debriefing / counseling sessions for both of us throughout our 20-year friendship. We would always just have these conversations. He'd come over for coffee before he moved down there, and we would just go in deep and pick apart shit that was perplexing us and that didn't make sense to us, and just try to deconstruct it or whatever. And then he mentioned I don't know, a while ago, he tried to do this with some other folks, just like talk about the Bible. And I was like, dude,
it's really hard. Yeah.
Come and get it, man. Me and you. It's like we that's what we've done anyway, and so we started 41 episodes ago, and we,
wow.
It's just it took us a while to figure out that we needed to actually read the Bible.
Yep.
Because something Leif says that I love the most is that if someone comes up to him and says he's a Christian, the one thing he knows about that person is they've never read the Bible. And I was back east at a family function. It was actually a service for a passing, and the woman who was singing, it was a Catholic ceremony, and there was a woman on there, and she was really honored to be part of the gentleman who passed requested that she be the one to, she was singing the mass and whatever. And I met her later, and I'm like, oh, I do, I really enjoyed your singing. And she's like, well, I told her about the podcast, because I tell everyone, I have a podcast called Let's Get High and Read the Bible. She's like, oh, and before she can be shocked, I'm like, have you ever read the Bible? She's like, I've always meant to.
Right.
It's like these people who base their lives around this document don't bother reading it, And so
they base their lives around some bumper sticker Bible verse.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate. It's another pandemic, and I've worked in a church. I was a worship leader. Like I said, I grew up really weird, so I've read the Bible for an hour every morning besides
On
there was
tour.
yeah, even on tour, I would actually we'd
This
be on
fucking guy,
tour.
man. Yeah.
We'd be on tour, like I'd be in like North Carolina, and I'd have to wake up early so my brother could hold up the flip phone in church, and I could like take notes. Well, there's like band guys passed out all around and stuff. So I never smoked weed. I was really straight edge. I was like into that purity culture shit. So even on tour, I was like sober as shit, and I would just keep reading the Bible. And what I was taught about the Bible is actually not what the Bible says. The Bible is this really complex, insane collection of 66 different books, and they say a lot of different things. So the more we get into it, it seems to be more of a therapy session for me for the whole world, because I'm just like
unpacking.
I don't even recognize some of the dogmatic shit.
Yeah, this is where we need to go, because we've talked about all of our upbringing, but we want to know. So you were raised. Did you go to church as a kid?
So I was yes would be the answer to that.
Yeah.
And what denomination?
So I guess it was Presbyterian.
That's cool.
It's a little foggy. My mom's side of the family is Italian, but not Catholic.
Ooh.
But very much the family goes to church. If you didn't go to church, you would hear about it from our grandparents. Like, where were you guys? But like in a very 70s kind of judgmental, kind
Italian
of like
guilt.
looking down your nose, you're less than, even though there's so much to unpack with that. But yes,
I
grew up in the church, Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night.
Fuck yeah.
Okay.
Well, so but so the guilt you're talking about, like that, so that's another one of the questions is like how impacted were you from it? Not just specifically from the religion, but like your parents, your grandparents, like exactly what you're talking about. How gnarly was that guilt? Like if you didn't go, like you got a big story and you're like, I don't want to get into it. Get into it.
I mean, it was subtle, a lot of shaming, like a lot of, I've been through a lot of therapy. So there's probably what we would refer to as a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's right on the tip of my tongue. Codependent shaming stuff. Like you're being judged constantly. But then seeing the people in church on Sunday morning, and then running into them on Tuesday afternoon, not in church, and seeing what was up, and hearing about this guy having an affair, and this person got a DUI, and this guy's kid, some of these kids got caught smoking weed or whatever, whatever the scandal was, really small town. And so the pastor of the church wielded an immense amount of power and influence.
Yeah.
Until he showed up with a gold Rolex, or they would, like I remember hearing people talking about like the pastor's wife and the way she was dressed and how much makeup she wore, and just the judgment at all times about every nuance of the lives these people were living. And so I was raised that like boners are bad, and
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And so the conflict started really early with like, but I like boners, and I'm turned on by chicks, and I like this rock and roll music. Like we can talk about. Are you backing up your truck right now?
No.
Fire alarm.
Did I?
You set your smoke alarm off. You did. Well done, sir. Well done. Oh, mama to the rescue.
Yep.
That's never happened before.
Fucking get really high and read the Bible.
Thanks, baby.
I feel honored that I've been the first.
Dude, 41 times it's never set the fire alarm off.
That means we're doing something right.
That's amazing. Keith, did you buy it? I mean, were you in, or did you, like Leif and I have talked about how he was in, and I like Catholic. I was raised Catholic and went church Sunday and catechism on Wednesday nights.
Well,
but I
was
never.
I in? I guess I was in as much as I could be in. I guess I was, there was this thing that was going on where everyone was saved. And as a young kid, we got baptized, but it was like in a pool of water where you wear the white shirt. And I was watching, it was Righteous Gemstones or something. I was watching something with my wife, and we were watching that, and she's Jewish. She has no idea what that's all about. I'm like, oh yeah, I did that. I did that at church camp. She's like, church camp. I'm like, oh yeah, I went to Jesus camp. I was at Jesus 76. Do you know what that is?
No.
That was like Woodstock for Jesus. I remember it specifically.
In 1976.
Yes.
And
think about. I'm showing my age here, but it was like a cool, groovy, fucking outdoor festival thing.
Jesus. Where was it?
It was like Woodstock for Jesus.
Is it New York or Boston?
I grew up in Western Pennsylvania, right outside of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So we probably had to drive a few hours for it. But anyway, I digress. So did I buy it? I was always conflicted with I should be getting this thing. I should, but I was always conflicted by wanting to just live normally. I felt like I had to do it. I felt like it was always forced on me. Yeah. And that also at the same time in my household, my mother, her side of the family, very religious. My father's side of the family, not very religious. So at all. So what was going on was mom's side of the family was the church and the guilting and the hostility and all that shit that was going on. And my dad was before we'd get in the pickup truck to drive somewhere, he'd say, get me a road pop. And I'd have to get my dad a beer. He'd open up and he'd stick between his legs.
Road soda.
And we would drive down the road and he would drink his beer. And if the cops pulled us over, which happened, he would go, put that under your sweatshirt. And he would hand me his beer. And I'd put it, I'm a little kid. I put it between my legs, cover it with my sweatshirt.
Nothing.
And then we drive away.
Moral dilemma.
It's the fucking 70s, man.
So that was all going on at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was very, very conflicting. What ended up happening is that when my family kind of imploded when I was 15 and my dad took off and my mom kind of fell apart, God bless her. She had 3 boys and her husband left her. I was kind of on my own in so many ways that the first thing I said was, I'm not going to church. Fuck that. And that started my whole anti-God thing. Then years later, once I got sober through a 12-step program, and I'm forced to kind of go down this path of figuring out what God is to me, then I kind of came to my own comfortable place with what that means to me, what spirituality means to me, all that, reading a book by it's I think his name is not Emmett Smith. He played for the Cowboys.
Yeah, he's the best.
It's his book on the Lord's Prayer, where they break the Lord's Prayer down. Have you ever read that book?
Emmett. Let me try to look something up.
No, it's Sermon on the Mount is what it is.
That's the name of the book.
I can't remember the name, but that gave me a whole new perspective on the J word, Jesus, because that word used to make my skin crawl. Okay. All right, Jesus. Okay. It's a t-shirt and a bumper sticker to you. And, because I always just felt like there was this hypocrisy going on. I guess that's the biggest thing, as it just always felt like the people that were pounding me with that were very hypocritical and very judgmental and left no leeway for having the human experience. And so I guess my approach to religion now is always trying to balance that thing of just this ideal of what the Bible is telling me I should be, or what I was told the Bible was telling me to be, because I never read the Bible.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But I had this idea in my head of what I was supposed to be. And then knowing at my core, I was falling short constantly.
Yeah.
That's what they attach to.
Whether it was my thoughts or my actions,
Right.
So, and just basically being comfortable in my own skin with what I feel like
Spirituality.
spirituality is.
Yeah. There's this gigantic movement, apparently, spiritual but not religious, SBNR. It's like 30% of the country. What was it like? 30% of the country under the age of 40.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Consider themselves that,
Yeah, I mean,
like,
that's kind of what I got.
fact check.
It's what I got more attuned to, like I said, through 12-step program. And like I didn't have to be religious as long as there was something. Like they tell you, God can be the group or God can be the sun or whatever. Okay, great, that works for me.
So in the program, there it's not defined for you.
It's a God of your understanding.
Interesting.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
That would have helped a lot. Shit.
Yeah. Which can
they should advertise. They should advertise that better.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah, they should. But all of the 12-step programs. Notice I didn't tell you which program. They want to fly anonymously, so they're just not billboards.
They help. They help a lot.
I mean, it works for me.
A lot of my friends.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it is like the hypocrisy. If you've ever been around a church enough to just experience it, like it's so devastating to that thing inside you that's searching for God. Like in fact, I don't know. Do you know who Aleister Crowley is?
He was the guy that Ozzy Osbourne wrote a song about that. Jimmy Page hung out with him, correct?
Yeah.
No?
He's fucking fascinating. You should read books. He was known to have like orgies with different groups in different rooms.
He got so high.
Is he at your house right now?
No.
Like he's there?
Fucking Santa Monica.
Man, that's high, dude. He got so high he set off the car alarm.
I'm gonna go close this so I can finish this fucking story.
Maybe it was the incense. We're okay. He'll get through it. We'll all get through it.
We'll get through it.
We'll all get through it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so Aleister Crowley was known to have like orgies going on in multiple rooms, and he would have the pathway between these rooms go through this like foyer where he would be playing 5 or 6 different chess masters and chess games. So on his like way to different orgies, he would like
multitasking.
Yeah. So when he was very young, I can't remember the age, maybe 8, he played organ in the church. And this is in the early 1900s, right? And so he would play piano in all the churches, but then he'd also play for the freak shows at the carnivals. And, Wednesday night or whatever the weeknight was, he'd be playing in the carnival at the nudie show. And all the pastors would be in the front row, And so when he was a young kid, he was like, oh, I see what's going on here. I see. So he started his own.
Yeah, I mean, look, Jeff, you were saying you're Catholic. There's just no bigger example of that than the glaring fucking.
Yeah. That was one of the. I had to start like the first 10 episodes of me just slamming the Catholic Church relentlessly, scourge, just pedophilia, just the whole. It's just so disturbing, and I tell the story to Leif that like I eventually stopped giving my dad a bad time about it because he still goes to church and he's an educated person and considers himself that and he and he's still like years and years and years. I mean, it's been going on forever, and at some point it's like it's not fun anymore to like bust someone's balls about the same thing over and over again when they're just they're not gonna. It's not. I don't know what that immersion and that brainwashing is, or I mean, I know most people need that connection, and it's not. They need it to not come from within them. They can't find it in themselves, or they've been taught so rigorously that it doesn't reside inside themselves. That they like that's the sheep. I feel like, and I you can't.
The Lord is the shepherd.
You can't judge them, but I'm just so disappointed. It's such a fucked thing to take. We talk about this, that I feel like that organized religion is not the worst thing you can do, but how they go about taking your divinity from you, that's the crime. It's like they say you can't get there without us. You can't just get there by being a good person. You have to go through us. And here's the rules. And now give us your money. Because God needs me to have a helicopter.
Yeah.
So
yes,
it's very important. It says so if you read the Bible, which you won't, and please don't.
Hang on one second. I'm gonna see if I can silence that beep that keeps happening. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. Dude, I can't believe I fucking set off the fire alarm in here. That's the first Snoop Dogg moment we've had.
Dude, you're blazing it, bro.
I think you've set the bar, Keith.
It's been yeah.
Well, now we have to go back and look at what time that happened at, so then we can say, like, I set the fire alarm off at smoke alarm off at like 12 minutes.
12 minutes.
Yeah, well, no, I'll clock it down. We'll send you a plaque.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's great. Keith holds the record so far.
Well, I didn't smoke weed till I was 30 because I thought it would make you a failure. So
he's got some making up to do.
Yeah, that's Redding and I switched. I spent all my early days reading the Bible, and he spent all his smoking weed. So now he reads the Bible, and I get to smoke weed.
That's our dynamic.
Yeah,
that's our shtick. So
okay, I can't find this. I'm just going to punt on that.
Go back.
It's all right. It's okay. People are used to it by now. Because I don't know how to turn mine off either, so it happens every time. So 15 years old. Where are you in the brothers? How old?
I'm the middle of 3.
Oh,
right.
Shit.
And so at 15, your parents get divorced, and you're like, I'm not going to church. Your parents were married until you're 15.
Yeah.
And so that whole time until you were 15, your dad's not going to church and your mom is, or did your dad go?
My dad flirted with it once after a DUI.
thought it might do him some good.
Yeah, like he's a changed man, and for like a month or 2, he was walking the straight and narrow, and people from the church were coming over to do what they called witnessing to him to save him.
Oh yes.
And these in the prayer groups were praying for him and things of that nature.
Yes, sir.
So Presbyterian is what I don't know what that is. Is that like a?
I don't know either, dude.
That's more serious. That sounds more like what Leif.
It's actually not.
It's not.
No, they're usually kind of logical and they slightly democratic. Like they usually are like just really focused on helping people. So like not a lot of the politics side of it. It's like they just want to help people.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't all bad. Great people there, you know. I mean, I think the first time I made out with a girl was at church camp. So purpose,
Yeah.
But it was definitely like this blind faith, dogmatic pursuit of that without anybody speaking in a way that was like relatable or like people would always say, God has a plan for you. Like, when does he tell me? Like, what the fuck does that mean? I don't even know what the fuck that means.
God's will? What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Turn me on.
And then, I'm sure you get this question a lot. And you watch shit like children dying and people getting raped and crimes committed. I'm like, so where is God in all this? Like, and then the excuse that I always heard was, well, humans have free will. I'm like,
which is it?
I'm trying to wrap my head around all this, and none of this is really making sense. I think you're all kind of full of shit.
Fuck yeah. Well, at least you were smart enough to figure it out by 15.
But now I'm a parent, so I have 2 children.
Yeah,
and the idea of them growing up without some sort of understanding of spirituality is completely unnerving to me. My daughter, her mom's Jewish. So she sort of identifies as Jewish, but she went to a Catholic high school.
Oh.
And my mom, grandma, wants to talk to her about Jesus. I'm just like, Mom, you got to chill on the Jesus shit or you can't come around. Got it?
You had your chance.
Right. So I found myself just really wanting to raise, my daughter's 22 now, just wanting to raise her as someone that was exposed to it all and then figure out what works for you.
Yeah.
As long as it's something, as long as it's not Fortnite or fucking
Minecraft.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Just find something that works for you, so that you have some sort of foundation. Because I can't imagine not having that kind of rudder, but I wouldn't call it a specific religion.
Yeah. If you cherry pick the Bible, it's kind of awesome. Like if you take certain verses, just little things out of it, and you kind of like, this helps me, it can be rad. You know, you should probably do it with other books too, Bhagavad Gita, other religions too. But
Emmett Fox is his name, and he did a book, and I think this is from like the 20s or 30s, based on the Sermon on the Mount, and he breaks the sermon down. And that's the book that I read at like 17, 18 years of recovery, where I saw Jesus, that person, in a whole new light, not as like this judgmental deity, but I saw him as like a dude that was delivering a message somehow but what they leave out is that there was a lot of dudes like that. This is he was just like the Kanye of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
There was a lot of enlightened dudes like that. And what he actually says, when you strip away the bullshit that was surrounding it as I was growing up, what he's actually saying is actually kind of dope. Like, be cool to each other, you know, try to leave it a little bit better than you found it. Be kind.
Yeah.
Clean up your mess. Forgive.
Judge not, lest you be judged.
Yeah. Good shit.
Well, and that's what Leif was talking about. You can cherry pick the Bible, and it's pretty cool. And you can also cherry pick the Bible in another way, and then you have the Catholics. Or you can cherry pick the Bible in another way, and you have the fundamentalists. You know, it's like, because that cherry picking is the part that, like, you have to take these documents as a whole, and I mean, we finished what was the first
Exodus
book?
22.
No,
we finished Genesis.
We finished Genesis. And that's just a mind fuck. They're talking about divine creatures on the earth lusting after human women, having sex with them.
Yeah, making babies.
And the offspring are the men of renown and the legends of yore. Like, they're divine creatures, you know.
Yeah, they're incest. It's really like Game of Thrones, to be honest. Like, it reads a lot. It's
amazing. And that's the part where it's like, okay, well, if there are these divine creatures, and like God, when he goes to smite Sodom, he's with two guys. He's with two other dudes. God's just walking across the desert with, like, we call them
divine beads.
Pac and Biggie. You know, it's like he's like, and he sends Pac and Biggie down there, and the fucking guys, they want to, hey, let us have those two guys that came in here. We want to fuck them. That was the response, you know. And but like they're two other divine beings. There's not just God, you know. And this is in the Bible, and no one talks about all these other divine creatures on the earth. And it's like, well, then aren't we all kind of descendants of that?
Yeah. Can you explain to me?
Yeah.
Can you explain to me Jesus's mom?
Mary.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So, I should turn this down.
What's your question? You have specific questions?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Like, because we've been through Mary.
Okay. So wait. Mary was a prostitute, no? Yes?
Well, no, it could be much more tragic than that, actually. There was I can't remember if it's a song or a poem later on, like hundreds of years later after the death of Jesus, that essentially alluded to the fact that Mary was raped by a Roman guard. And that was actually Jesus. But it's a lot of suspect shit, and I'll try to get to it quick. So the people around Jesus in his time had a lot of the books of the Old Testament and were reading them actively, right? They were Jews. They sacrificed at the temple. They kept the offerings. They kept the feast days. And so they were always looking for this Messiah who would come and free them, because back with this Moses and Abraham guy, God said, I'm going to give you this land. So what's happening is we found out that, like, the verse that they used to point to Mary's virginity is kind of and very most likely a mistranslation of this word Alma. Isaiah 14, which I should look up actually, but essentially, this word in the ancient Hebrew means young woman. And then when the New Testament wasn't written in ancient Hebrew, it was written in Greek. So when they were writing it down in Greek, they kind of like, probably because of amalgamation of the different myths and ideas about what was going on, because this was years after Jesus' crucifixion, they wrote in virgin. So
Lots
now
of years.
you see like, the earliest gospel, Mark, was written around 70 AD. So 25, 30, 35 years after Jesus, possibly. So after he died,
and not by Mark. We go through this all the time. Like none of the gospels in the New Testament were written by the dudes.
Maybe Luke. Yeah, Luke.
And some
he
of the
wrote
letters.
Acts and
and
Paul.
the
But
letters. Paul's an asshole.
but like it's a very common thing back then. It's called pseudepigraphy, because like let's say you had a farm, you sent your kid. He either became a slave and got to go to a nice school, or you had enough money to send him to a nice school. He learned how to read and write. Comes back to the farm, you get a hold of some paper, parchment, or like the animal hides, and you're like, write down everything you learned, and then put Socrates, at the end, and then they could go to the market and sell it as like Socrates as a scroll, make a shit ton of money. So it was, that's the abuse of it, but more commonly it was actually used as like, so let's say Luke, who wrote a couple books of the Bible, he was most likely when you have a knight, they have a squire. He was most likely the squire of Paul, the Apostle Paul. So sometimes it would be like a way for the students to pass down their teachers and knowledge. So it just was really common.
Go back to Mary though.
Oh yeah. So there's this other part in all the Gospels. They say different things, but they want to go to this wedding. Jesus is. They're trying to get Jesus to go, and he's been baptized, and he's like, "It's not my time yet. It's not my time." But after his family goes down there, he goes down to say what everyone's saying about him. He just wants to hear what they're saying. When they're there, he starts like, I think he turns the water into wine. I'm pretty sure. I'm a little stoned. But he does this miracle, and everyone at that party is like, isn't this Mary's son? They're just like, wait, we know this guy. That's not the Messiah. He's not going to free us. That's Mary's son. And back then in that time, for them to only mention Mary and not Joseph is like fucking weird, because women didn't really have much, like they couldn't testify in court.
Right.
In many cases. So Joseph is like possibly made up. And
really?
Yeah. And Jesus has a bunch of brothers and sisters. So like James, he wrote a book in the Bible, has my favorite verse actually.
And that's Jesus' brother.
Jesus' brother.
Now, apparently, or is he actually like that's
blood?
That's,
Well, he comes from Mary. I mean, he's half brother, right?
I'm just gonna say that just in the 42 minutes that we've been on this conversation, you've just unloaded some of the fucking gnarliest, deepest shit that I'm certain that the people that I grew up around in a church have no idea.
It's weird, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well. So if you tie together things from the Old Testament where they say these divine beings went out and had sex with women, lusted after them, including who's the guy that Biggie and Pac and God show up to?
Abraham.
So Abraham's in the tent above Sodom, right?
Yeah.
And one of the goes, "Hey, where's your wife? Where's your wife?" Because she's known to be super hot, right? All these guys, and one was like, "Hey, where's your wife? Where's your wife?" And
Swing party.
Exactly. Ephraim. No, and the guy's like, "Hey, if you bring her around here, the next time I come back, I promise she'll be pregnant." Like so it's like this is ongoing. This like they're constantly trying to get with these human women, constantly trying to spawn with them. If you take that forward to the New Testament, where God comes down, right, and impregnates, the virgin. Is now, Leif, back me up on this. does the story get told by Gabriel? Is that how that?
He's the one that comes down. He's the messenger. And
He
then,
explains it afterwards,
Yeah.
right? So Gabriel, or whatever, is one of these divine beings,
Gabriel.
right? Comes down and is like, "Hey," talking to Mary. "Look, I know you're knocked up. I know he came and did it again. I know he's kind of a perv. Look, here's the deal, though. It's going to be okay. We're going to get with the Joseph guy, and we're going to like make it okay with him, and he won't throw rocks at you till you're dead. And we're going to say that this is the Son of Man. Okay, is that cool? Will that be cool with you?"
Wow.
It's just like this date raping, like it's like Catholicism in full effect.
it's brutal.
Like the guy coming down. I mean, that's just my take on it. It's like it's just one take, but
Well,
it's
that's-
like it's not who's to say?
I mean,
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot.
He's not even big enough to like go clean up his old messes. This guy, this Yahweh guy, he is just fucking shit up, and then he's like, whatever. And then all these angels, all these divine beings are having to go and like, oh, hey, he didn't mean that. Here's what he really meant, like.
He's a motherfucker, definitely, right?
Not a good dude, man.
in the literal sense.
Not a good
Well,
dude.
well,
But maybe that's what's rad about it, right? Because maybe God is a fucking bastard. Like, what?
I mean-
what's rad about that?
Well, it's just reality. It's just like,
Well, but what? So there's another guy. So the creation myth, which is the first book in Genesis.
oh yeah, most
The
people
whole
don't know
Catholic
this.
thing, the whole Catholic guilt thing is based on original sin. But before they get to the part where Adam and Eve eat the apple, God creates everything and says, "This is every plant, every tree, every fruit bearing tree is for you. Go forth and prosper." And then later it's this different God. Elohim is the
He's
creator.
the first one.
Elohim is the first guy, and then Yahweh is the guy who said, "You fucked up and ate the apple. Get out of my
Chapter 2.
farm."
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Most-
like,
Most people don't know that when you look in
I
your
have
Bible.
no idea. I'm hearing this for the first time.
Yeah, so
My
when you
mind's
look,
blown.
when you look in the Old Testament, you'll
Bullshit.
sometimes see like God's name spelled God, all capital, sometimes God, G-O-D, sometimes Lord, sometimes the Lord, sometimes, and then those will all be different forms, which seem to at least allude to different evolutions of this God, Yahweh. At first, he starts out as this guy, Elohim. In chapter 1, he creates the world in this 7 days. And then in chapter 2, there's this weird squishing together of the verses because people don't realize this, but the Bible, the way it was written down, there's no punctuation or spaces. So it's like the Bible, what we eventually copied and then put in the Gutenberg press, right, is like it's not like chapter 1, verse 1. None of that was there. That's all added around the 1300s. So it's just like all the letters that make up
start to
the
finish.
story on
Okay,
a
so-
very small page.
Completely not off topic, but who was tasked with the collection of all of this and making it into the book that we know?
It's so much weirder and deeper than you know. A lot of it hinges on Constantine, but not the way everyone thinks. Like he basically just hired a bunch of priests to do it. And over time it changes a lot. And it's mostly like,
but he hires priests. What is their directive?
well, it's to figure out what books will constitute the Bible. Like he's like, let's put, because here's the thing is there's a lot of different scrolls, codexes, books. There's that were floating around at the time. So how do you know which one's real in this time with this problem of pseudepigraphy, with this problem of translation? Also, sorry, I can go too deep on this, so I'm pulling myself back.
You're okay. You're okay.
Okay, yeah. So it took a long time. Like we still found books. Like I think the Gospel of Mary Magdalene was found in the 1800s. So the Bible has been being revised forever.
But at a certain point, somebody, because just the nature of humans, somebody has to look at this collection and go, this can work. This can work for me.
Well, and so that's
That's
what I'm asking about. So let's just use Constantine as the pivot point, okay? Where it's like that was like, what was his What was his objective?
To keep people from burning Rome down again. It was that Constantine gets
why were
blown
they-
out because it's a good story. He's just like more of like like Kanye becoming a Christian. It's like that. Like it's more of like it's become so popular that even it's reached Chris Pratt. You know what I'm saying? It's like Constantine was still a pagan. He didn't get baptized until his deathbed. He minted coins to Ra. So it's like he's more of a statesman, and he was using Christianity to unite
His
the
country,
Roman government.
yeah.
So, but like also that happens around 328 AD. So we're talking about like 300 fucking years after Christ, right? So the stories of Christ and the letters from Christians have been circulating forever. So it's just like crazy. And when they do these councils and all these individuals that end up kind of picking the 66 books that become the canonized Bible, it's really fucking weird because they only include one book from the brother of Jesus, and it's a small one, and they include 13 books from this guy who never even met Jesus, who was converted to Jesus on this trip that he was taking to go kill Christians. And he has like a psychedelic trip.
Who was that?
His name was Saul of Tarsus, and he becomes the Apostle Paul. He becomes probably, at least historically speaking, equal with Jesus when it comes to the importance of Christianity. Like he was most likely very affluent. He grew up in this rich Greek-speaking region, and he like could read and write Greek. And so he becomes this insane evangelist, leaves his hometown, starts setting up churches, evangelizing, putting churches here, and then he would write letters to churches. And those are the earliest writings. Those are 20 years, 10, 15 years after Christ.
So the Apostle Paul was a dude named Saul who was on a quest to kill Christians.
Yeah.
He got converted.
At least according to the Bible, which is, again, you got to kind of take the stories with a grain of salt.
It said he had some sort of psychedelic trip.
Mm-hmm.
So he did some ayahuasca?
Well, he just supposedly stoned this guy named Stephen. He was leaving this event and he was going to a different town to find Stephen's friends. And on that trip, God blinds him with a light and he's like, Saul, why do you persecute me? And it was said that for 3 days he was blinded. And then that guy he was coming, I might mess up if this was the guy he was coming to kill, but a Christian came to him and they talked through, they told experience, and it was like scales fall off his eyes. Now he can see. Totally different person. He thinks he's an apostle though, because he's met Christ. But in order to be an apostle, you had to be with Jesus, walking, learning. Like that was so.
Right.
He wasn't an apostle, and he gets held up as an apostle, and everyone loves him. I think his books suck, so I don't really like him.
So, where does someone like David Koresh fit into all this?
I mean, it gets so deep, man, and you can see, like, I'm trying to keep myself from going off. So, but
Sure.
like maybe if there's this really good book called Zealot, and it goes into the historical side of Jesus.
Yeah.
Reza Aslan, fantastic book. I can't recommend it enough. And Jesus, it seems like who he was has been just totally stolen, and people have used it throughout the years to manipulate, control, and like so. For me, the only way you could really know Jesus is to kind of understand maybe what it was like outside of the Bible, because the stories of the Bible were written by Christians for Christians, and they have some variants where like the stories change a little bit and they're kind of messed up. So it's like you can see that they were kind of changing over time. So it's kind of unfortunately all we have. Those are the only stories of Christ or from the Bible,
Right.
But if you look at what it would be like to grow up in Nazareth, which is like straight up a little city on a hillside of like maybe 100 people. You live in not stone, huts. Yeah, with your livestock with you. If he was a carpenter, he would have had to walk to like not Tarsus, Sarsis. I'll have to look that up. To work, so he has to walk to a bigger city and go work on all these affluent Jews' houses that are paying tribute to Caesar and therefore getting like favorable land, becoming like really affluent. and they're like walking around the city in their robes and their garbs. And here he is, like in his family, praying on their knees every night in their stone hut. So he seems to be more of like a revolutionary that was trying to overthrow the government and like change Judaism. I don't think he was trying to make a religion about himself.
Yeah. Do you ever watch The Righteous Gemstones?
Yeah.
I haven't.
That's my shit.
Have you watched it?
What is
Oh
it?
yeah,
Dude,
it's
the best.
I
Yeah,
played
you
on TBN. I've done a couple Christian tours, like music tours.
Did you?
Yeah, dude. One of my buddies used to sell trash bags of weed, and I'm talking like 5-gallon trash bags of weed to the biggest Christian artist at the time.
I mean,
Is that
cannabis is a wonderful drug.
Yeah.
Jeff, it's a show with Danny McBride
Oh,
of like a televangelism family.
yeah.
Outrageously hilarious.
It's is it sanctioned, or is it a comedy? Like, is it on like what channel is it on?
HBO Max.
Okay, it's not like on the religious channels or anything.
No.
It's called Family Gems.
The Righteous Gemstones.
Righteous Gemstones.
Righteous Gemstone.
I highly
It's called
recommend
Family
it.
Jewels. Sorry.
I highly recommend it. It's so over the top that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, but it's also right on the money, unfortunately.
So right on the
That's
money.
Like
So right on the money.
Well, so
Yeah.
Keith, one of our we're considering starting a religion because I already got I'm now an ordained minister.
Are you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm going to marry someone this summer for the first time.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, $45 and 5 minutes on the internet. You can do it too.
No way.
Oh yeah. It's just.
And then you can fly into you can get into countries that you couldn't get into before
Oh, I didn't know that. Really?
You can
because of
forgive
your
sins.
criminal background. Yeah.
Oh, great. That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, we're thinking about there's this what's his name? What's the guy's name?
Casey Treat.
Yeah, there's a buddy of mine once saved the life of this gigantic televangelist here in Washington State. We're going to try and get him on and pick his brain about how to start a religion.
Yeah.
That's great.
She's got a helicopter, so if we really want
I mean, you need that, right?
well, fun.
I would love to, have a group of people who like to be spiritual and just like a co-op, I don't fucking, I'd love to not pay taxes. That'd be cool too.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I
mean, David Koresh probably, like, did I say that earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we never really got
Without
back
the
to that.
shootout. Jesus literally is David Koresh.
Yeah,
Jesus
same
is
thing.
actually more like Osama bin Laden, to be honest. He was crucified for trying to overthrow the Roman government. And it's crazy. When the Bible was written, it was after this war. And so it was they
Which
burned
war?
the temple.
Which
the Great
war?
Roman Jewish War. It was
When
around
was that?
64 to 68.
Wait, did you just say that Jesus was crucified for trying to overthrow the Roman government?
That's the only reason you get crucified during that time in Rome. That's why they put you out. If you try to fuck with Rome, you're on a cross. Pontius Pilate set so many Jews to the cross that Jerusalem lodged a formal complaint with Rome and won. He killed so many Jews without trial that they complained to Rome, and Rome was like, yeah, I guess you guys are right. So it's like that whole story, it's more of like they had lost. Jews were conquered. And so to be, it was kind of this time where Christians started like pointing at the Jews and unfortunately making them the villain in the thing and not Rome. But like, no, Jesus was overthrown because he was.
Is that why he's got the King of the Jews thing
Mm-hmm.
above his head?
And everyone had, it's called a tetrarch. Everyone would have what they did stated above them. So it wasn't like, he'd probably most likely never met with Pontius Pilate. That's probably made up. They just, yep. And in the Old Testament, it says that cursed is anyone of God who hangs on the tree, which is talking about crucifixion. So
Right.
by the Jewish law, by Abrahamic law, he is actually excluded from being.
So basically, they're not going to let the truth stand in the way of a good story. Right?
They're also not going to let the Bible stand in the way of a good story.
No.
That's the thing. It's like you know what? You don't need to read the Bible. We'll just read it for you, and we'll give you the juicy bits, and we'll just tell you how to live your life. Is that cool?
I like it. I mean, I feel like I'm on a fucking episode of Mythbusters.
Well, and we're only 2 chapters in. You know, we're only 2 chapters in the Old Testament.
2 books.
God.
2 books.
Yeah,
That was a monster hit. Look at your boy.
That was a good joke.
Yeah, you caught him. You caught him right there. His mouth was open.
Double lunger.
Yeah. We tried to read Matthew. Was it Matthew, Leif?
Yeah.
We tried to read Matt. We tried to jump back and forth, but I got so fucking anxious and fucking lit up reading Matthew because it was the story of Jesus in the desert with the devil. Yeah. And it's like, it turns like I thought I didn't know very much of the Bible, but I knew that whole story. And I'm like, wait, where's the rest of it? Because it's like this long. That whole the thing they make this gigantic deal, it's like this long. And I'm like, I poke holes in the Old Testament, you know, but a lot of it's just like it's old, and it's you can tell it's just older stories. I don't know what their aims were, but the New Testament, you can tell they're just like molding and shaping, and you know, like it's a
you do you remember the last thing we read about the sacrificing kids to Moloch? Or yeah, that what's in the Old Testament. Jews used to sacrifice their firstborn kid to Yahweh.
Firstborn everything.
Everything.
Firstborn,
wow.
First
cattle, ox.
Cow has a
Wow.
Yeah,
but you know that doesn't.
So when I make my son pancakes in the morning, like the first one never comes out right, so I just chuck it.
Right, same idea, exact same idea.
Same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't even really try with that one because you know you're gonna fucking just scrap it anyway.
Yeah,
right? You don't get it nice clothes or a good plate. You don't get the utensils.
They don't need sandals.
Well, that's the one I eat. That's the one Dad will eat that one because it doesn't look good, but it's still a pancake.
Dude, exact same thing.
Oh, what a man!
God eats the first one. Yeah,
taking one for the team. That's dad-like right there.
Dad-like right there.
Fucking misshapen pancake.
Yeah.
Hey, so correct me if I'm wrong. The way I understood the Bible, it's been a long time since I've been in any kind of organized setting where I talked about the Bible, but the voice of Jesus, his quotes don't happen until the New Testament, correct?
Yeah, there's no Jesus in the Old Testament.
And here's the other thing.
So I want to hear what you have to say. But the way I understood it was, I remember seeing the Bible, and in the New Testament, in the Bibles that I was given, what Jesus said was in red. Everything else was black and white, but what Jesus said was in red. So can you explain that to me?
It's just a fancy adaptation probably over time to really highlight, because again, if you take only the teachings of Jesus, the Sermon on the Mount, a lot of his public shit, it's bad ass. It works. In fact, there's a great documentary about people that do that, and they've been affecting politics in America forever. But the thing you got to remember is these stories were written down very long after the crucifixion of Christ. So the stories themselves would have been passed down orally. So they're being told as stories, and they're being told over and over and over again. And then the other thing you got to remember that's fucked up, Jesus spoke Aramaic, but the Gospels were written in Greek. So instantly there's you got a translation problem. Right.
He skipped over the very first part. That the really important part is that none of those are direct quotes from Jesus.
That's what
nobody who wrote the New Testament ever met Jesus.
No,
except he's going to say Paul or whatever.
Yeah,
none of the writings in the Bible are written by anybody who ever had anything to do with Jesus, other than generationally. Yeah.
So it's the telephone game.
Yes,
totally. It's totally, and not just the telephone game, but at some point, a very focused and diligent telephone game to get a message that will keep poor people down and giving their tithes. That's what organized. That's the deal. Like, you're poor, you're stupid, you can't read, so I'll tell you what God says. He says you have to come to me and get on your knees and say what you've done, and give us money, and then we'll make sure that you don't go to a burning cauldron of hell after you die. And we won't eat your kids.
Jesus wasn't a white dude, was he?
No, he literally looked like Osama bin Laden. He was a Palestinian Jew. Like, he's from Nazareth. So he was, yeah, they're all brown.
And
Yeah.
not the band. Yeah.
Man, I know some people just freaking out over that whole idea.
What? That he's not white?
You want to hear? We did a whole podcast on this gay Jesus thing. Have you ever? You know the picture you see of the Jesus that like looks like he was in Star Wars,
Flowing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's
Yeah.
like
Of course.
There was this Caesar. I could look it up. It's very
Oh,
Googleable.
you said it was the Borgia.
Borgia.
Yeah.
Borgia. He had commissioned Leonardo da Vinci to make this bridge or cathedral or something. In that process, they became gay lovers.
No. Borgia's son and Leonardo.
No.
right.
He makes his father Pope, who then later on, much later, replaces
father.
all the pictures of Jesus with this
Anyway.
Leonardo painting of his son. So the picture that you always see in the homophobic like grandma, grandpa's living room is actually someone's gay lover. And I think that's the fucking funniest thing.
He looks all Italian. He looks like a northern Italy Italian.
Yeah.
You know, kind of.
All the Yinzer fucking Dagos. I can say that because I am one. But I grew up around.
Yeah.
Are petrified of the whole idea of both of those things being reality.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what we spend our time doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. He actually gets me to stop reading the Bible.
Well,
I get a little
of research.
Too much.
Dude, your knowledge is fucking incredible.
Seriously,
it's weird, right? Like I just kind of I grew up like, I taught myself to reading the Bible. We've said this on here before, so I won't do it much. But because I grew up out in the woods, so I was 14, I couldn't read, and I was like, ah.
So how do you now, at your age, a grown man, how do you make sense of it all? Where do you land?
It's been so hard since we've been doing this too. I got this idea years and years and years ago, but I just didn't want to be offensive. I had some holes in my knowledge with dates and times, certain books written. So I kind of just got to work for a couple years before we started and just went really hard in the paint. I was waking up at 4 a.m. reading. And as I was studying, it's weird because it's just like, it's like Google. You can get anything out of this fucking book you want. 66 books over 1,000 years apart by God knows how many authors, because many of these books were just a bunch of different things taken and put in one together. These could have been, the Psalms is like, how many different authors could be a part of that,
Right.
So it's like, I think it's the story of humans. And I think it's really flawed. And I think, unfortunately, if there's any truth in it, it's probably almost unreachable by us now. We don't have any of the original writings. So if it is the inspired word of God, we don't have the inspired word of God. We have copies of copies of copies of copies.
Of translations.
That's when it starts showing up.
So where does the King James version lie in all the different versions?
It's so fucked. It's the worst. And we like to read it because it's so fucked. It's funny because that's where you get a lot of, First Corinthians 6:9 talks about people, the effeminate not going to heaven. And that was a verb that was changed by him. And so you see this kind of homophobic.
Who's him?
King James. He was a real guy. He was a king of England.
Okay.
And so, but he was also known to fuck this priest all the time, and they would make out in front of everyone. So he was openly gay, but he's the one that starts translating his version of the Bible into this direct attack against homosexuality.
So he's a self-hating
Yeah.
homosexual.
That's what I think this book really does, is all of us have that, you could be better. When someone says that, you fucking, for some reason, you're like, oh shit, goddamn, And I think this is the perfect stew of stories, of of power structuring, of manipulation. And unfortunately, it's kind of, like we said earlier, robbed everyone of the divinity that it's actually kind of built off of.
Yeah.
You know?
I've spent an hour with you guys and I'm more confused than when I So mission accomplished. Way to go, Jeff.
There you go. Right.
Thanks for inviting me, bro.
Well,
Awesome.
it's the one book that you should read, and I'm trying to get through it, is the one he mentioned first, was the Immortality Key.
Yeah.
Because it's this guy who never did psychedelics, and he's trying to tie the Eucharist to a psychedelic celebration. What do you call it?
Ritual. It
A
was
psychedelic
an
ritual
actual religion from Greece.
that predates Catholicism and Christianity, and that Christ was probably in on. It was these women called mystics who would like, and Socrates and Plato and who was the Caesar? Aristotle.
Mm-hmm.
They all went over to Greece and did you had to fast. And Leif was saying that there's a theory that the 40 days that Jesus spent in the desert with John the Baptist, is probably that. It's that fasting before you take the either ayahuasca or some they had a wheat
ergot.
They
have the wine vessels, and there's a bunch of psychedelic compounds in them.
Leif, I think you need to write a book, man. I do.
Yeah, I definitely have had to learn how to like curb, because I get so baked on the show. So I'll just like
on a scale of 1 to
filibuster.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how high are you right now?
Oh, dude, you're here. I'm super fucking high. I'm like, my foot's been like tapping the whole time.
Like 8 or 9?
Yeah, high. Let's see. Well, fuck.
You're talking to a guy who eats like thousands of milligrams.
Yeah.
That it's like high.
I noticed that you're still enjoying the flower. Is that the only way that you're getting your PhD?
No, yeah. It
looks cooler.
I did this gig once for the Dope Cup. Do you know that Dope magazine? They have like this Bud Award.
Yeah.
And we had like in the green room, they had like a bong, like bud tender with like dabs, and me and the bass player were super stoners, and we were running around like the goddamn Sound of Music, just like grabbing free samples of weed. And that was like 6 years ago. Ever since then, I've never really my tolerance just doesn't go down ever. Yeah. So I have to eat like 1,000 milligrams of weed actually.
Right.
So if you had to go a few days without it, would it be an issue for you?
Oh no, I do it all the time. Yeah. Tolerance breaks. Yeah. I didn't smoke weed on every tour. I didn't smoke weed with some of the coolest rock stars. You know what I'm saying? I was so committed to this book and to learning God's will, and in any temptation, I was like, I'd be there praying, I'd be there reading the Bible. And so like those years of sobriety kind of really helped. And like, I know how to be sober and I'm totally fine with it. I just like weed. And it's really hard for me to talk about a lot of these biblical issues. So it kind of like relaxes me here. And
Well, as a guy who's been in recovery and still is in recovery, I am a proponent of whatever works for you. So I'm not really like what works for me. I always say some people go to church and some people go to hockey games. Never works.
For real.
Some people do jujitsu and some people eat. Whatever works for you.
Works.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel like it works for you, then maybe you got to address it. So if getting high and reading the Bible is your thing, bro, right the fuck on.
Build the life you want. We actually finally got a sponsor, so now we get free weed.
Oh, nice.
Oh, did he sign up?
Yeah.
Nice.
So
that's a lot.
The Mount Rushmore of weed is probably what Snoop and Willie Nelson, and come on, got some heat there. You got some connects. What's going on?
Those Willie did a really good job, but those guys aren't growing their own weed. They're licensing their names.
No, I mean, get them on the fucking podcast.
Oh yeah. We're trying to make moves. We're making moves.
I would love to have Willie Nelson on here.
Oh my God,
that'd be amazing. Yeah. You know Willie Nelson?
I don't. You know who else would be interesting? You don't need my help as creative director of this podcast. Never mind.
Who are you going to say?
I was going to say somebody like Chris Robinson, who is known, who at least at one point probably enjoyed copious amounts of marijuana from the South, where you know how religion works in the South.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of we were talking about this when yesterday, prepping for you, is that it's important that people have a religious, and I mean almost everyone does. You know, it's not kind of hard to get out of your adolescence without having been stained by some sort of religious upbringing. But it can't just be a drug thing. You know what I mean? It has to be someone who like really has been affected, has been, you know, a proponent or otherwise, you know.
Yeah.
Open talk.
I think as much as it's a religion thing, it's also kind of a. How old are you guys? Do you mind saying how old you are?
I'm 54.
I'm almost 40. I turned 40 this summer.
Okay, so Jeff, we're about the same age.
Yeah.
And growing up during the era that we grew up, I think is a little bit different than maybe yours, Leif.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's certainly different than the way kids are growing up now.
Jeez.
It's unrecognizable.
It's completely unrecognizable. And so many things that we like. My son is 7 and he'll question me and I'll actually consider it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he's 7 and I'll consider, why, Dad? Well, son, you know, buddy, it's because
think about that.
And when I said why, it was, shut up, boy. No one's talking to you.
Right.
You know? Different.
Yeah. Well, and
yeah, I grew up like that too.
You know, you'll go to church or I'm going to beat your ass.
The bell.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me, I couldn't get dressed fast enough.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And now it's like, if your son says, I don't want to go to church, Dad, you're like, well, let's talk about your feelings. Why? You know? Which is great. I think in a way we're going to raise kinder, more adapted in a different way.
Well, and people who like aren't afraid to think for themselves, not sheep.
Yeah.
We're raising leaders, not, you know, we're raising shepherds, not sheep. You know?
Well, I think, you know, and I don't want to get too far down this rabbit hole because I know this is what this is about, but we've also are seeing the backlash of that with the ultra woke
everywhere. Yeah.
With microaggressions and
and
things that are just like almost invented at a certain point. It's like, I just said, can you excuse me? That's not a micro.
Could you pass me the salt?
Dude, I've gotten my ass kicked. You learn so much when you get your ass kicked.
Yep.
Yeah. It's horrible. Yes. Every part of it sucks. But it's like you really grow.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that we should bring bullying back.
Nope.
But everyone got bullied. Everyone got bullied. It's like it toughened you. It made you either bullied or didn't bully because of how you felt about it. You know, it's like I don't know. Bullying was horrible. It was horrible.
I was a Christian homeschooler on tour.
Yeah.
Oh.
I got bullied. Low hanging fruit. What do you say? I didn't even know what a condom was, and I'm like on fucking the back of the van.
That's hazing. That's different.
Yeah, that's completely different.
Touche.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got a guitar in your hand there?
I do.
Oh,
that's so sexy.
What do you got there? What is it?
So a little gold top. You know,
what year? What year you got there?
Maybe 1954.
What the fuck?
Just, you know.
Oh, you didn't know? Keith has a couple of fiddles.
Oh, that's sexy. What's that?
It's a reissue, so it's like, you know, but it's a 57.
You guys want sexy? I'll bring down the harmony.
I don't get all smuggy about the guitars, dude. You know, a couple of my favorite guitars are guitars that I bought the parts from Warmouth and bolted them together myself.
Nice.
Fucking Van Halen style right there.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Jerry Cantrell.
Hold that thought. I'm going to show you something.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. This was the long con just to get this guitar on the podcast.
I'm just getting my friends to show me their gear and getting them to read the Bible.
This isn't gear.
Because you said the V word.
This is fucking.
Check this out. This was a project guitar. You ready?
Yeah.
You ready? Wait for it.
Oh my God. You did that yourself? Look, you even got the back tape right. Look at that.
I did that myself, yes.
Oh my God.
And I wanted a Van Halen guitar, but I didn't want the red and white. So I did it in gold.
Oh, those are gold.
Sparkle?
Oh, it's sparkle. Hell yeah.
And black and white.
Yeah.
What pickup you got in there?
That is a Seymour Duncan Frankenstein.
That's so fucking filthy. I had the 72 Super Lead.
And then our good friend in Olympia, Washington, Bill Nash, sent me a neck.
Oh yeah, I love.
Thanks,
I got a
Bill.
Nash right
Thanks,
here
Bill.
too. Thanks, Bill.
And so I put that neck on this thing. It fucking rips, man.
Dwiddly.
But like, I made this in my garage,
That's so
Awesome.
badass.
and it sounds awesome, and I love it. And I've got
Yeah.
way more expensive collectible stuff, but it's just, guitars to me are tools.
Yeah.
I mean, I love to collect them, and believe me, they've, as investments on some level, I've done really well with them. But at the end of the day, look, if you don't have a good song, the guitar you're playing doesn't fucking matter anymore.
No matter, does it? Doesn't matter,
brother.
So
Amen.
I wanted to ask you about this because and I totally almost forgot the when you're on stage in front of that many people, or you're in the crowd with that many people, you got anything over a large room, and everybody's vibing on the same thing, and it's this total spiritual thing. Do you ever we got to figure out exactly what this question is, Leif, because we've been meandering about it. But it's like, do you think that there's any it's obviously a spiritual experience, it's obviously transcendent, and like you get goosebumps and do you think did any part of your upbringing send you looking for that? First of all, did you ever get goosebumps in church? Did you ever kind of like see the light through the fog? And if you did, or if you didn't, did you ever do you feel like you got sent into the world looking for that sort of, either because you saw it or because it was missing?
That's interesting. I think the first time, yes, somewhere early on as a kid, I remember that electricity. And when you're in a room, like the church that I went to was predominantly Italian people. Like Western Pennsylvania, there's a lot of Italians there. So there's Italian people and African American, or I guess Black people. So it was like this mix of them. And when I see the way people talk about Baptist churches, there was an element of that. Lots of music, lots of singing, the choir, clapping the hands. People would bring tambourines, some of that going on. Not quite like a Prince concert, but when I went to see Prince at the Forum, it reminded me of going to church because people would bring their own tambourines and stuff. It was fucking great. I loved it. So there was like that. So I can remember feeling that collective energy of which you're speaking. I can also remember being on stage playing a song that I was a co-writer of with the band that was my band, to a full house that was getting the fuck down. Yeah. Same fucking electricity.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't know if I was consciously seeking that, but now that you're saying that, it's like, it's the same flavor for sure. Like there's something about that collective experience. It's probably why riots happen, or why anything like good or bad happens, because there's that collective energy that of just
starts focusing.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts, dude. It's funny. I was just watching the documentary for Woodstock 99 because I was there.
Oh shit. You guys.
And I remember I got out before we got out before. I think we played the first day or maybe the second day, but we got out before all the fucking really bad shit happened. I think we played at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Oh, and let me just take this moment to say, fuck Moby.
Sure.
Look right in the camera. Fuck Moby.
Because why? I mean,
we're neighbors, and I'll find you. I don't care.
Why? Not that it. Not
because he just takes the piss out of my band.
Oh,
whatever.
In the documentary, or all the okay.
Yeah. He's also a known predator because he was stalking an underage girl. So I don't know. Like,
oh shit!
Yeah, you don't know about the whole Natalie Portman thing? Google it. Anyway,
Shit.
plenty of info out there. I don't have to tell that story. Anyway, Woodstock 99.
Yeah.
We do our thing. Then there's these 2 towers beside the stages.
Yeah.
And that's where the artist VIP area is, where you could go up in these towers and look down. And I remember being up in that tower, like maybe like 2 or 3 floors above the stage. And it's nighttime and Korn's playing. And I look down at the crowd and it looks like a washing machine. It looks like all this, and then these socks popping up. The socks are bodies.
Yeah.
And looking at that, and that was the first time I thought, that's so powerful.
Yeah.
And I'm too old to ever attend a rock and roll show without credentials.
Without passes.
Yeah, I gotta have credentials because I'm not gonna go out there in that.
No, yeah, that's great.
And I was only like 28 years old when that happened, but it's like,
yeah,
that was nuts, dude.
That's insane.
Yeah.
But that just like the power, you could feel. It's almost like it's its own entity.
Like the ocean or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, like you've set it off, and it's not going to stop until
there's nothing you're going to do. I remember watching, like, playing that show, Daylight, and watching naked girls come over the barricade.
Shit.
Not like in a let's rock out way, like in a who took my clothes, what do I do? Like disturbing.
Right.
And it was just like, fuck that, dude. It was really gnarly. But this isn't about Woodstock.
Yeah.
Human behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to your question, Jeff. Yes. So there is something about that group thing. And the first time I felt it was in church.
Yeah.
People speaking in tongues. Do you ever see someone speak in tongues?
She rode on a Honda.
Dude, crazy.
That's all you just say. Yeah, she rode on a Honda. She rode on a Honda.
She rode on a Honda. Oh, yes.
You say she rode on a Honda. You just say that over and over.
That crazy. I got little goosebumps now just talking about it. Like, I remember like being in church and then hearing someone speaking in tongues. Look up, and it's my mom.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just like, what the fuck is that?
It's in the Bible.
And is that a real, like, your mom's? It's your mom, so she's not like fronting. She's being touched by the hand of God. She's like, but it's in her head. That's what's happening.
Yep, and it's real to her, so it's real.
Yeah,
but it's that same group thing, right? Because the thing is you've been like jazzed up with music, and you're all singing together and clapping on time together, and it really puts you in this trance state. So when people start doing stuff, like, you'll watch it just kind of start popping off everywhere.
Yep.
So, but
and is your mom the kind of person who would want to be looked at?
Probably not going to come on this podcast now.
No, but is she the kind of person that would normally want to be the center of attention?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
My mom totally laid back.
Yeah. She's not. It's
not
like,
her thing.
That's happening.
Yep.
That's happening.
very powerful.
Oh yeah. Hey, where does all the snake handling come
New
in?
Testament.
Where?
Yeah.
What is it?
New Testament. Jesus gives a lot of people interesting powers in some of the different books where he leaves. And so in one of them, he says, if you say to this mountain, be moved into the sea, it will happen. You can heal people. You can bring them back from the dead, possibly, with one of the verses. And in one of them, he says, if you take up poisonous snakes, they shall bite you and you will not be harmed. And so that's where, like, Appalachia, all the snake handlers and those, like, fucking, that's where they get it from.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Insane.
It's fucking.
Did you ever read the book? It's a fiction book. It's called Feast of Snakes.
No, it sounds awesome.
I forget who wrote. Somebody turned me onto it a long time ago. I read it on tour.
Look at it.
And it's fiction. It's for entertainment, but you should read it. It's really entertaining, and it's all about that Feast of Snakes. It's great.
Yeah, the snake is such a weird imagery. It's all over the fucking Bible, right?
Yeah.
Like, it gets confused with Satan, but there's no reference. Satan wasn't even an idea when the serpent gets introduced. So that's just a conflation.
No.
It was just like a really crafty, smart creature. Yeah. I think I got to remember when to pump the brakes on the Bible. That's the only.
Why? What are you talking about? Why?
Okay, good. Sometimes I say facts that I'm like, I don't know
No,
if that
that's-
actually added to the conversation.
It did.
Great.
It totally did.
Into it.
Great. It's the learning how to smoke this much weed and be coherent.
That's
There you
what.
go.
That's what you're. That's what.
Yeah,
you grapple
I'm.
with.
You know,
Yeah.
it's again,
And
it's
that's
my
fine.
cross to bear. It's
Well,
you know,
and you do the
it's-
editing, so you can say whatever you want.
I try
Hey,
not
so
to edit.
so before I get out of here, I'm gonna ask you guys a few questions. So, musically, what are you guys up to? What are you doing?
You want to go, Jeff?
Plug your shit. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm doing one original thing that I'm playing in this musical. It's a 1-woman, 8-person rock musical. My friend Jen Ayers is the creator and the one woman. It's a mostly all girl rock band, and her husband started transitioning 8 years ago, and her processing tool was to write songs about it, and they wrote songs together, and Graham wrote a couple songs for it, her husband. And it's just now, COVID happened. They did a bunch of workshopping for it, and then COVID happened, and then we just started the second stretch of workshopping about a month ago, and that'll go up in September.
Oh wow,
and
that's killer.
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be really, really impactful for
Great
the
musicians,
trans
too.
movement. It's just like it's a love story. It's just I'll talk to you more about it, but I think you're going to hear about it. I think that I think everyone's going to hear about it. It's just so timely, and it's just such a like tear jerking. I mean, yeah, it's. I don't want to start crying because I will, because they're absolutely beautiful people, and they're amazing artists.
And their relationship has been able to sustain.
Has weathered it. Yeah, and they'd been married for 25 years, and they were in bands together. And I was always like Graham is this tall, 6'2" blonde guitar player, and his wife Jen is this like 5'3" just dynamo. She's Pat Benatar basically,
Yeah.
And only she plays piano like a master, and they were always in a band together, and it was always like I always just had this like I wanted them to like not like they were so conjoined, it was like I wanted to play with Jen, and I didn't understand Graham as much. I loved Graham, but I just didn't understand why they couldn't do things separately, and going through the script and hearing hearing her start talking about how she'd sort of forgotten where one of them started, where one ended and the other began.
Yeah.
And she's not that surprised that she finally showed up. I'm starting to get goosebumps just talking about this again.
Wow.
Because I know these people, I've known them forever, and like,
yeah.
But you don't have to know them to get the story and to have it be this like kind of paradigm shifting moment in the trans. And maybe I'm being fucking white privilege about it, and I'll get fucking whatever. But it's really a beautiful story to me, and I think that it'll at least resonate with a lot of people as far as like, oh, okay, because I don't know. I think
hey, love is love, right?
Yeah,
that's what it boils down to. Exactly.
Totally.
And then I'm also playing in a Fleetwood Mac tribute band.
And you're Mick Fleetwood.
Yeah, well, we're not actually it's not a tribute, we don't do one for one. We just recreate the White record and Rumors. We just do the first two Stevie and Lindsay records. We just do those songs, and then we encore with Stop Dragging My Heart Around and Edge of 17. But we're not like tributing, we're recreating the records.
That's awesome.
We got like, and it's fun and whatever. But then that's pretty much all I'm doing right now.
Killer.
And woodshedding, writing a bunch of stuff. But
Leif?
Yeah. Oh man, when COVID, have you always been like the songwriter, guitar player in the bands you're in and stuff?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like I was really comfortable there forever. Like, so before I moved down here, I was playing in this country band, writing a lot of songs with them. It was great. We'd play all the time. And I, over the last 20 years, I was just always playing shows. But I always write songs, and I was always someone else's guitar player, songwriter guy. So I got sick of it. So I just been I locked myself in my closet when COVID happened. I've been teaching myself how to fucking sing. Just been singing 7 hours a day and writing songs for 2 years.
Nice.
So yeah, I taught my wife's learning how to play bass. She can really sing, really write.
She sings great.
Yeah.
Killer.
Yeah, so we almost have a full album done. We got about like 40 other songs almost.
Yeah.
Partial, but like we have these old songs that we haven't finished, and I just got to get them out. So I think I'm gonna take July and just stay in here and sing 10 hours a fucking day. It's
awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's really fun because
I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait to hear what both you guys are doing. Please hit me up with it.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. What are you doing, Keith?
I'm just trying not to go to work.
Fair.
So I left the band in 2017, and I'm never uncomfortable with the role of being, the guitar player, songwriter guy. Like, I'm totally cool with that. Like, I don't have any desire to ever step out front. When I was in a band with an amazing frontman.
Yeah.
And that is a special animal. And I don't have those genes.
Yeah.
And it's totally cool with that. Like, I take a guitar solo and they're watching the singer take his shirt off, and I'm just like, okay. All right. I'm not offended by that. I understand the rules of the playground here. I know what's going on.
Yeah.
But I love being creative. My favorite part of that whole 21-year run was making records, writing songs. My least favorite part was being camera ready, and I fucking hated that part of it.
Yeah.
I would always be in bad moods at photo shoots.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand why. And I understand why, because I don't really like that. I don't really,
Yeah.
I'm horrible at social media and self-promotion.
Yep.
I love to write songs, make records. I like to have an idea come out of the speakers. To me, that's the most rewarding thing ever. Next to like playing it and having somebody sing it back to me.
Totally.
Like, that's pretty awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's what I've been focused on. And I'm just writing and making records and making songs with people. And just somehow, luckily, I've been able to kind of segue that career into this career. And it's working. I don't put it out there. People have just found me, and it's been working. And so I'm managing to keep the lights on doing it.
Fuck.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's good to hear.
Yeah, we're really grateful.
And as I go down this road, understanding what I'm not good at and identifying that when something's like out of my league. Like, I've been in the room and I've tried to do more hip hoppy stuff with people, and it's like, I'm not the guy for that. But because a lot of them want to put rock in what they're doing, it's like, you know what? How about if I just play some guitar on your song, but I'm not going to produce that song because it's going to sound like a 53-year-old rock dude doesn't sound legit to me.
Yeah.
But I'll play a guitar riff on it, and then you can make a loop out of it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Or something like that. So the last year or so has been all about trying to improve my skills as a finisher, as a mixer.
Totally.
So that I have this amazing room with all this amazing gear. So I want to be able to go from an idea to a master.
Yeah.
Not have to call anybody.
Nope.
Not have to rent anything, and just be a finisher. So that's kind of what my focus has been on, is figuring out what I don't know how to do. And I want to stay in my lane, but I also want to get better. So it's always a learning process for me still. Like, I'm just seeking the knowledge. Like, I am taking a advanced course in mixing off of some producers that do like a school, like a weekend thing where it's like totally submersive. And the guy that runs it is a really good friend of mine. He's like, "What are you talking about? You know what you're doing?" I'm like, "You don't understand. I want to show up and I want to listen to someone else, see how you do it, and take direction. Like, I don't think I know everything. It doesn't matter what I've done. I want to learn more."
Teachable.
So
that's sort of like, the snakes thing, the handling poisonous snakes. That's what I think. Like, you can take it any way you want to, but like, that's what, if you take something you're not good at and do it until you're good at it, then you're not bad at it anymore. That's like what I get from the poisonous snakes. If you hold poisonous snakes long enough, if you keep doing it, you'll become good at it. You'll become immune. You know what I mean? Like, I think that I think all these fucking things are stories. I think that when they take them literally, it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. That's what hit me.
So
like,
you're going to the pet store?
yeah, I'm fucking, I sent my wife, I sent her a text, and she's going to be back here with a cottonmouth before the end of the podcast.
Just a dozen rattlers. That's fine.
Right.
Well, we should go on a hike to Griffith Park next time you're here, and you can just go off into the weeds, and we'll see if you make it back out.
Right, see how it goes, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
guys,
Keith, we appreciate you being here, man.
Thanks for making the time for me. You guys are fucking awesome, and I love what you're doing, and I love your perspective on this. This is really refreshing. Thank you.
Well,
Awesome,
you're welcome
man.
back. It's an open invitation.
Whenever you like.
Right on, dude. Well, I'll let everyone I know.
Sounds good. All right.
Oh, you rule. Thank you,
All right.
Keith.
Love you, Keith.
Thanks, guys.
Love you.
Cheers.
See ya.
Bye. You signed up to listen to the Bible being read, and you got some fucking Woodstock 99 deep cut stories. You got some fuck Moby. That happened. You just heard that. This is some quality shit. Could not thank Keith enough. Thank you, Keith. You're a bad man. We could not thank you all enough. Thank you all around the world listening. We really appreciate you. Until next time, smooches.